Aloha and welcome. This is a Stillpoint Yogic conference call, and I want to welcome everyone around the planet who is using our products and getting our newsletters. We haven't done one for a little while, so first thing, got some exciting things to touch in about. First thing for new folks, everyone take a moment, as we do in all of our seminars and retreats and gatherings. Start off by just dropping in for a moment. Everyone drop in. If you're new to our process and our program, take a breath in. You stop right at the top of the breath, hold for a moment. It feels like holding the breath. Don't hold the breath, let the breath keep going like it does when you rest. Breath does its own thing. Yet you stay here in the space between the breath. Good, and just rest here. I tell folks in my life, I try to, whenever I'm starting things, kind of withdraw your attention. Life is real busy. It's always real busy. And right now it's particularly complex. And so it's really important, for folks that have been with us for years. I used to do these calls on a regular basis. I haven't been doing them as often. And for folks that have been to our retreats and to our events and retreats and been on a bunch of our live streams and calls, one of the key things that our whole company, this whole kind of experience is about is the shift into the new season. And this is early on. This is really important because from my perspective, there's a bunch of things going on right now, and it's, to me, it's really key that people understand what's happening, and more importantly, to have tools to address some of the shifts that are going on. I've always kind of touched. I don't want to get too into this. I've always touched on how the native peoples on the planet, the Mayans, the different traditions, shamanic traditions, yogic traditions, even the religions, they all understand the shift of the ages, right? There are these shifts, and according to many, the Mayan and people, we recently entered into a different shift. And what all the shift is our planet and our star kind of move through different areas. And as they move, there's a different way that the planet orients. It's what's called its precession, the axis. And the axis moves, it goes back and forth. And this correlates to where we're moving through the different star areas and through our galaxy, and also through the larger cosmos. Kind of like our planet goes around the sun, right? And when it's far away, it's cold. When it's close, it's warm. And that process is a cycle. It keeps going. And in the same way, our star system goes around the center of the galaxy. And as it moves, as it's further away, you experience one kind of condition dimensionally, and as it goes closer to the center of the galaxy, you have a different experience. So the Mayan and the folks in India, and a lot of folks say that we just entered into a shift in that process, and it's very exciting and early on. Yet there's also a lot of understanding, particularly in the Mayan system, and in other traditions also. There are different views of the micro-tunings that happened in this process. So it's not only like, oh, we're in a new season and everything's changed. There are micro kind of transitions that have an effect on, and early on I'd kind of give updates about my experience of what's happening in this progression. It's really a progression, right? You don't just leave one age. In the old traditions, they referred to the transition often as a flood, right? They'd call it a flood. And there was in India they call it a dissolution which is really the word flood is not translated from my perspective correctly. It's really a dissolution where the different dimensions that were set up in the previous age dissolve. And so early on, I was very clear with people about what was my understanding of what was happening. Everyone take another breath in. Stop right at the top. Hold for a moment. Let the breath keep going like it does on its own. Yet you stay here in space between the breath. So early on, I was, as many, the new season was exciting, and my perspective early on was that the key was in unwinding things and expanding one state, right? Dissolving the different structures, physical, emotional, and psychic structures from the previous age. And while that's still relevant, from my perspective, the opening into the new season, it's kind of gotten a little bit dynamic because opening isn't enough right now. There's too much other energy. Everything is dissolving. And so there are a lot of powers from the previous age which are also opening up their energy. And so it's not the right moment to simply open up. From my perspective, it's really key. And by the way, the Mayan folks said that there were these little micro periods of years as we progress. And from my perspective, we literally have been in a kind of area in as we've entered into the new season, and it's shifting, and we're right at a moment where there's a kind of another tuning that's happening. So it opened up, it was nice, and then it kind of got like it's been strong, right? It's been very strong. There's kind of a play going on right now where the structures from the old age, economics, politics, everything's dissolving, and yet there are some energies that are kind of from the old season that are making a play to perpetuate the experience, the physics from the old season. And so that what that means is that those of us that are here, that are really here and on board with helping to dissolve the previous age season and to welcome a new moment here on the planet, we have to really up our game and really, and so, everyone that I'm having conversations with, everyone, there's so many people right now who are challenged right now at what's coming at them. Whether it's politics, whether it's economics, whether it's financial issues, whether it's health situations, whether it's 5G. A lot of, right now, there's a lot of compression and a lot of energy that's kind of opening up, but it's also not stable. It's a very, very strong moment right now on the planet, and everybody's experiencing it, whether you've So to me, what that means is we've got to up our game and really get our practice on, right? I used to do retreats, and at the retreats, I covered a very specific process. And for folks that have been to our retreats, to me, there are 3 or 4 key things that everybody in the Stillpoint work should understand, right? The first thing is how to take, whether it's an injury, an emotion, your some situation in your life, whatever it is, and how to welcome it, unwind it, how to welcome it to unwind and to dissolve. So if you have a laser, by the way, good moment, put your laser on. We're going to do, as I walk through this, we're going to walk through a few different protocols. So if you have your laser, put it on unwind. And the key thing that I tell everybody for unwinding is to put the laser on, and unwind. Whether you're working right now, I'm doing over the adrenals. You can do the key places I suggest for unwinding: unwind adrenals, unwind the sacrum tailbone, and the occipital ridge. And I'll leave that if you're using the laser to use it. If you're working on an ongoing issue, a knee or a disc or whatever the situation, unwind is great. It opens the principle of taking, right, the principle of unwinding is taking something that's tight, compressed, which, by the way, from my perspective, is the kind of orientation of the previous season. There was a lot of compression. Things were identified with the state of being compressed, the body, the personality, whether it's some injury or some emotion or some reference of who you are. These are all in different ways, physical, emotional, psychic, they're still compression. And to me, this is the biggest issue that people coming out of the last season have struggled with, is identification with things, compressed things. And so a big part of the Stillpoint work is we develop technologies and different systems and processes and do retreats and gatherings to induce and help people to be comfortable dissolving things. A lot of people on planet Earth don't have a reference and orientation and tools and technology to help dissolve things, which of course still people move in that direction if they want to change and grow. Yet it's from my perspective, it's easier if there's an understanding in technology and a reference for the process, right? So, and that's key, still continues to be central in the experience of the Stillpoint work. Yet it's not enough, because opening up, right, if you open up and there's a lot of other energies that are at play here that are operating in that open state, but maybe perhaps using not the goal of dissolution and opening to a new reality reference, instead as a grab within polarity, the confines of polarity, then it's not so good to be open with that, right? Because then you're open to that, and that situation it's not a good play for establishing neutrality and coherence. Or it's not the only play, it's part of the play. So the second key thing, and if you're using Unwind, the programs that are really good for unwinding things, Unwind and Wave both work really good at unwinding things. So if it's feeling good what you're doing, great, continue doing that. Now, the second key principle and reference that I cover in the more advanced work, the retreats, is once things unwind, they come back to a state of Stillpoint. Right, when things unwind, when someone is not holding on, most people that have trouble holding in Stillpoint, it's because there are still things, polarized contractions that are pulling at people. Whether it's adrenaline, whether it's some emotional thing, whether it's some program. Yogis are really big. You know, I always say there's two kind of key references in this work, with our technology. One is the understanding of the new season and a goal, a mission to help make things. My interest in making things is really when I feel, there's something going on in the new season that there's something else I have to have for me. And the other is an understanding of yogic experience. That's my background. When I left college, went to India, and I experienced the not yoga movement, but yoga, the act of withdrawing attention from things, from physical things, from emotional, from psychic, from the layers. In the yogic process is, the way I understand and experience it, and the way I work with it is, you have your spine energies. And then you have different plexuses, and then you have different programs that people get caught up in those plexuses. In India, they call them the bonds, or the roots. They're these bonds. And the bonds often have these things called vasanas that go on, that are like programs that people, whether it could be for someone frustration, or whether it could be whatever the pattern is that someone is perpetually dealing with, and that these different patterns in different ways, overly being concerned about things, or these are relative to the plexus and the root, the bond, not bond, B-A-N-D-H, bond. So an understanding of the goal. The goal, right, is to withdraw the attention from these outer things, from physical things, from emotional, from psychic, and ultimately from the different plexal areas that are keeping people's attention from going inward along the spine and upwards. Yogi, I learned from, said most people here, their energy was coming down the body and out like a vase with holes in it, right? It's leaking out. And the yoga that to me is essential is reversing those sensory currents. So the energy is now going up the spine. That doesn't work so good if people are having different things going on in the different plexal areas that are keeping the energy involved with things that are distractions. They're ultimately distractions. So right now, I often said it when we did retreats, it's great to retreat from things. Every week, every day, find a moment, sit down, drop in Stillpoint. Everyone take breath in, stop right at the top, hold for a moment. Feels like holding the breath. Let the breath keep going, yet you stay here in space between the breath. So, by the way, you might want to switch to quantum or activate. The second key principle that I've covered at a lot of the retreats, and first unwinding things, dissolve, unwinding. The second is once things are unwound, one starts to be able to hold the condition of stillpoint. This is key because as you can hold the condition of stillpoint, it's easier to start to unravel the energy from the vasanas or these distractions in the plexuses, which allows the energy to start to reverse. So the energy is not purely coming down the body and out through the chakras. Instead, it's starting to reverse and go up to the heart center. So Quantum and Activate are programs that help to open up the neutral state. I call Stillpoint the quantum field. Quantum field is the key state. Now, if you're resting in Stillpoint, notice, like I noticed a shift where, like I'm not holding Stillpoint anymore. See if you notice. I was dropping, going to Stillpoint, usually it groups at a certain point. Now the quantum field, when Stillpoint sets, the quantum field is now holding us. So this is the key second step in the Stillpoint process, right? Unwinding things, then opening and in Stillpoint and holding in Stillpoint, activating the quantum field. Thymus gland, really great place. I tell people big part of staying in the quantum field is not having things pulling at you, and in particular clearing the quantum field. You can do it with quantum. By the way, this is a great day to use the Lotus if you have a Lotus. The work that we're doing here is kind of yogic in nature, subtle yogic, so great if you have Lotus. If you don't, you can use main unit, and though Lotus is really good for this alchemy work. So the third key reference that I share with people at retreats is how to start to reverse the sensory currents. We call activate, right? So how to reverse the currents so they start to go up the body. Most people's attention, energy, this is the medical symbol, right? The staff of life, the medical symbol, the scalar energy along the spine. There's different traditions, have different names. People call different meridians or the nadis, central channel, all different kinds of references. The key from this, and the beauty of the Stillpoint process to me, to me it's a natural process, and it opens in each step as you keep unwinding, you're going to arrive in Stillpoint. If you keep holding Stillpoint, you're going to arrive in a quantum field, right? Well, the more you hold in the quantum field and rest in Stillpoint, the energies naturally start to flow. You might, as they start to flow, Activate's a great program for this. Unity is a nice program for this. For me, as energy starts to flow, you might occasionally feel the root, the plexus at the root. If you squeeze the root, the same muscles you go to go to the restroom, very gently, they kind of go in, they go out. If you squeeze in a little bit, then out. If you squeeze in and hold, kind of like Taoist yogis say, it's like holding an egg. Not too tight or you crush, not too loose or you drop. Hold right there. It helps to start to, very gentle. This is very gentle, subtle. Energy starts to flow. Well, this is the energy as it comes up that starts to move through the plexuses, the chakras, and ultimately the bonds. It's this energy that starts to move through that starts to purify these different distractive things that are going on. I can't tell you how many people on planet Earth are afflicted with these things. They're so busy trying to discuss the thing, they have no reference for that. This is it's like it's a program that's running in the chakra of people on planet Earth. Not everyone has the same things, though if you understand the play, then we don't chase the thing, even if it's a thing that is, we address it by inducing the flow of subtle scalar energy that can purify the plexus, the bond. But this is the key right now, and it's very important because right now there's so much. How do I thread this? So there's such a inclination right now. Everyone's got stuff that's being brought up. There's so much stuff being brought up because the energies that are coming in are here to loosen up things that are from the old season. And all this stuff is from the old season. And these patterns, these programs are not conducive to living in coherence and integrity with one's being, an essential state. And so naturally they're all coming up collectively you turn the TV on, anywhere you look, this stuff, and it's all impulse driven. So people are being driven, everyone is being pressed. So it's so key right now to have the understanding of the framework and tools to help assist so that instead of responding to the impulse, one can just hold tight with the reference, right? Unwind, then shift, hold drop into still point. Then hold, like holding the root. As energy starts to come up, you can hold that same root, squeeze in, each plexus. You can squeeze in, out, and then hold right into place in between. You hold. Why? When you hold that in and out, we're inducing that scalar energy to start to flow and to go up from the first, and then it goes up to the second. You can use the laser too on. Oh, here's another nice program to use when doing this kind of work. Activate works really good. So as this energy starts to come up, it then goes to the next center. And again, we welcome what's going on there, whatever it is, just welcome, aloha. And allow that, and then it goes up to the next. So this is the activation where we start to naturally steward. This is not the same as a lot of the different teachings out there that are, you tap into some energy and the energy goes. This is a conscious steward. We steward the energy. This is no good if you have to rely on someone else or some experience and you have no. This is a subtle, gentle process that, like Stillpoint, that you are consciously stewarding. If you choose to, if you do it. I could say drop in Stillpoint. Notice we're in Stillpoint. So now squeeze the root at the base. You might put the tongue at the roof of the mouth. Energy starts to flow up. For me, when I squeeze that root, energy starts to flow up. Tongue at the roof. You start to. So this is the activation where we act. This is key right now. This to me is key for what's going on the planet. Is because it is. This is how if you open up, right, unwind and you open up and then you're all open and there's all this kind of weird stuff going on, right? Things that are also open, but they're not open in the same way that the goal. They're not open to steward in the subtle new season essence and that. They're open to manipulate and to use the energy, the things from the previous season to continue to play that whatever that was going on, right? Without giving any labels or anything, they're still playing that out. It's kind of like at the end of a season, at the end of winter, you get a lot of, we're in Vermont, right? You get a lot of mud, right? Before the next season really takes root, it's almost difficult, right? All the roads are muddy, there's ice, it's a mess. Well, we're right on the cusp of the transition from old season to new, so it's a mess right now. That's okay. We can't let that stop our practice. We can't let that stop our journey, our sojourn into the new season. We got to look at it, up our game, and say, okay, we got some more. This is the practice. I always say when the tough things come, that's when you say, okay, this is obviously got some more practice here, more opportunity to flex and deepen the practice. Ultimately, it's not enough to just go to a retreat or spend. Now we have to be using these things every moment. And reversing the sensory currents, I tell you, this is the key. And this is what some of the key, because if you unwind and you open and there's this other wonky stuff going on, well, the key to working through that is to say, oh, okay, that's okay. We're going to now cultivate, and we're going to bring the subtle scalar energy, whether you call it prana or chi or universal energy, whatever you call it. I call it neutrality. It doesn't matter. So you bring this energy up. And this is we're going to work through as if whatever whatever's going on, and we're going to bring it up we're going to bring it up the spine, and then we're going to bring it up to the lotus. We're going to bring it. We're going to transition. We're going to transform this energy into a more appropriate place relative and for the new season. So that's the third key principle third key, not really principle. This is not some. These are the key. These are key things to be able to do, right? Everyone has to be able to unwind things and dissolve things, right? And then have to be able, and you don't have to, but if you want to be successful in handling whatever's coming at you, well, you got to have the technology. This is subtle yogic technology to be able to deal with anything that comes at you, to be able to welcome it and and then dissolve and unwind it, and then we drop it into Stillpoint, and then we activate the energy so it starts to go vertical, right? Yogi I learned from was so he said Americans too horizontal to things. Everyone's horizontal, sympathy. Everyone's in sympathy. One person does this, you respond. Everyone kind of back and forth. This yogi said, key is to go vertical. Forget horizontal. You don't want to be in sympathy. You want to be in parasympathy. Para, beyond sympathy. Vertical, where the energy is going up the spine, like the medical symbol, up the spine. Well, now as the energy comes up, if you squeeze the root again, in, out, you might want to put unity, works good for the activate unity, the tongue at the roof of the mouth. Often when I do this, for me, it's a subtle, like we call the nectar, the ambrosia, the lotus. As the energy comes up, it starts to activate the ambrosia, the subtle in the saliva, which releases very subtle things like DMT, like Ormus. For me, this is not like it's not only it's literally like a See if you notice. You rest here. Everyone drop in Stillpoint. Now squeeze the root. In, out. Drop in Stillpoint. Make sure the field is nice and open. Now squeeze the root. Very gentle. In, out. And hold in the place in between the in and the out. Energy starts flowing up. Now tongue at the roof of the mouth. As energy comes up, for me, I feel a little saliva starts to yogis say they call it the amrita or the nectar. I call it ambrosia. And it starts to some call it soma. I call it ambrosia. It starts to drip in the, and it literally, and as it happens, it also opens up the lotus at the top. The energy comes up to the top. In fact, some traditions say when the energy comes up to the top, that starts to open up this alchemy process in the glands. And it starts to release different. Most people are going through life, responding to life with adrenaline and cortisol and things that make them identify with their body and their personality and their own situation. Yogis, mystics are activating these subtle compounds. I always say it's like LSD. These are like psychotropic compounds. We have been working on some new products, and I want to kind of touch in on them. So for folks that have been on the call, for folks that have been with us for a bunch of years, we every so often we come out with some new products that really, from my perspective, coordinate and coalesce with the changes that are happening on the planet. Right now, from my perspective, as I covered in the previous call before we had the phone issues, there's some kind of changes. We opened into the new season, and then some things kind of. There's been a lot happening, and as we go, there are different kind of micro tunings that happened. And from my perspective, we're literally on the cusp of a micro tuning as we're progressing in this journey through the new season. Right, the new season happens. And the old structures and the old, yogis understand and say that at the end of each season there's new energy that comes in, and that energy comes and dissolves the different dimensions and the different patterns that are going on for everything. How people organize their experience, their reality, and so that dissolution flood is how it's referred to in a lot of systems. In India they call it pralaya, which means dissolution, which is really is the right translation. The flood isn't really, it's not a literal flood, it's a dissolution of things back into where the new energy then opens anew and expresses a new dimensional, a new orientation for the new season. And then it's the appropriate thing to define new structures. And so what I went through in the previous call, or in the first part of the call, was really different ways that we can orchestrate our reality for this process. Right? Step one is welcoming things, unwinding things. Step two is dropping into Stillpoint. Same things I've been sharing for years, same exact things, right? Step two, drop into Stillpoint. The more you hold Stillpoint, the more the quantum field opens. Third step is reversing the sensory currents, activating the sacred scalar energy along the spine. So the energy is not moving down the body as it is with most people here. Instead, it's moving up the spine as it is with yogis. And then the fourth is opening up the ambrosia and the lotus. And right now, I've mostly shared the third and the fourth steps, the activation and the opening up of the lotus, the more yogic at our 3 and 4 day retreats, where we really get into the subtle yogic practice. Though right now, I want to share some of the new products we've been working on. We've been working on some really neat things, and we're going to do a special for anyone on this call, anyone in the next couple of days. Anyone on this call, we're going to do an amazing some specials for anyone who wants to get the newer products. Are really the initial products, the lasers. Then we came out with the laser, and then a while later we came out with the Lotus and the Wi-Fi. Each one with a goal, right? The Lotus had a very specific goal of dissolving things in a subtler way than the main unit and probes. The main unit and probes great for injuries, pain, different things. Everyone drop in. The Lotus really works in a subtler way for yogic work, quantum field work. The Wi-Fi really works for the home to help neutralize the home. Well, now we have some new challenges as we're moving along here. And to me, the new challenges are, one, the amount of compressed data from 5G. 5G is throwing a lot of compressed data at people. And that data can complexify things, and it's accelerating things, and it's accelerating things that really might, in the way technology is working with the 5G, it's accelerating things that are not consciously stewarding the acceleration. This process that we're walking through is a conscious stewardship. So things are accelerating, and we're guiding them into a neutral state relative to the integrity of in essence, of being, of who we are. Well, if things are getting accelerated and they haven't worked through the emotions and the patterns and the programs they're running in the different bonds or plexuses, then it's accelerating things into a place where it's just a mess, which is kind of what's happening right now. Things are not ready to accelerate. They're not in an appropriate, not in their place. I don't mean to say appropriate. Take it back. It's not for me to say, but it's not stable. It's not coherent. And so the new technologies that we've developed, so there's two new technologies, right? There's some other things we're working on also that will be coming out soon. Again, one to help relative to the 5G and different things, the amount of data and information and stuff that's coming at people because it's excessive. And the second key, really, what these technologies are about is helping to activate this in a subtle and easy way the sacred scalar energy along the spine. So I can't say this enough. The key right now is, early on it was unwinding and dropping in Stillpoint. Unwinding and dropping, that's what I've been sharing with people for years. Now it's in addition, those two things are still key. They're still essential. Yet in addition, from my perspective, at least what I do every day here on planet Earth, also right now it's key to understand, squeeze the root, how to reverse the sensory currents, how to open up that pathway so the sensory currents, because as you open up and drop into neutral, well, there's too much stuff going on. So the first new technology I want to introduce is what I've been working on this for a while, and we finally have it in a place where I keep working on things until it's like, If you like our existing technologies and feel the laser and the Wi-Fi and the different things we have, then you're going to like these things because it's the same. I don't make things and share them with people until you like completely can feel the dissolution and the experience of what it's designed for. So the first is a pad, the Stillpoint Yogic Pad. There's a lot of pads out there now. There's a lot of different things that are using pulsed electromagnetic fields and magnetic resonance, which I'm not a big fan of. To me, magnetic and scalar are the opposite, right? Magnetic is the energy generated between two poles. Scalar is energy, what Tesla was into, energy generated without any poles, no polarity. And so we've been working on a pad. So the first, there's two parts to it. One part is it's the body pad. It's designed to activate the central scalar, the scalar energy along the spine. It also opens and induces coherence to the field. So again, building on the work that we've been doing, keeping the field open, the quantum field open, while the energy starts to flow along the spine to induce that reversal of sensory current, so that energy is not. So it's like anything else, right? The more you unwind and drop in still point, you train that capacity to unwind. The more you use our laser technology, the more you can do it without the laser, right? You have that pathway is opened up. It's like, oh, you can just drop in still point. Everyone take breath in. Stop right at the top. Hold for a moment. Let the breath keep going, yet you stay here in the space between the breath. All right, good. So the pad, the Sacred Scalar Stillpoint Yogic Pad, you can put it on a massage table, you can put it on the ground, you can put it on bed, you can put it anywhere and just lay down on it. And then there's another pad also, that's the Lotus Pad. It's a round pad that also activates energy, and this one is really nice. You can hold it over a different, you can sit on it, you can put it at the top of the crown. It's great for smaller, for small things you can put on it. It's great to put over the chakras. It's great for, these are non-medical devices. These are subtle Stillpoint yogic technologies. And anyone on this call, we're going to be making after I go through the different things, we're going to have one opportunity, one kind of pre-launch special available for anybody who wants it. Good for a couple of days. It's just going to be available a couple of days to get the pads. And this is different than anything that's out there. This is designed, when I make things, I make them to induce the experience of dropping into still point and activating the energy and opening up the flowering of the lotus. So it's very specific yogic technology. So that's the pads. And by the way, the pads don't use lasers. They don't use LEDs inside of them. There are unique approach to using subtle scalar they're great for unwinding the cranial rhythm. Again, they're non-medical, so they're designed for relaxation and subtle flow of energy, well-being, longevity. You can put the round lotus one over the face. They feel great. They're also infused with Ormus. I can't say this enough. The pads feel great not only when they're plugged in and being used. They feel incredible just to be near them because they're induced with Ormus. All right, so that's the pad. So the second key thing which we developed recently, which we have been working on for a long while, and I've been discussing it for years. I've been suggesting that people use Ormus. And for folks that are not familiar, the second key thing that we're making available are what we call quantum field sprays. They're really lotus. They're lotus essences. They're lotus essentials. They're designed. They open things up, and these are really rare. These sprays are. I'm even trying to figure out how to put it into. So they blissed me out just discussing them. They're really they're basically Ormus. If you're familiar, for folks that are not familiar with Ormus, for years I've been telling people to eat foods that are high in Ormus. To me, the key food group that I like to eat are Ormus foods. And for Ormus, in alchemy you have 4 different states of matter in alchemy. You have solid, liquid, gas, and ether. And the difference between each state is the electron spin. Solid things, the electron spin is slow, it's dense, it's solid. When electrons go faster, it turns to liquid. When it goes faster, it goes to gas. When it goes very fast, it turns into another state, often called monoatomic or Ormus. Alchemy, ether, There's different ways that people refer to it. It's a different state of matter. And to me, Ormus is all around us, and we've been into Ormus for years, and there's a lot of folks that sell different products that are Ormus. I don't use any of them, because when alchemists make it, there can be different, from my perspective, a lot of them can be very, how do I say this? They're kind of strong, and the way that the alchemists make them, they can kind of put their own whatever, and there can be heavy metal particulates in them, and when I've taken them, which I've tried over the years, we've tried a lot of them, they kind of go, they're strong, and then you kind of come down from it, and then you want more, and it's kind of like coffee or something else where to me I'm not attracted to that at all. I like to have a consistent, subtle, yogic state. And so we've been looking at ways to make Ormus for a lot of years and trying different things. And so we are now making it using a unique plasma device that we made. Here's the key thing to the Ormus process that we're making. It's actually, we're using iridium. We're mostly iridium, and we're using a plasma and scalar, not with scalar laser. It's a scalar induced in the plasma, which induces the Ormus. And the way that we're using it is we made some a while ago, and we've been using it. And I never offer things to people without having used it for a while. The sprays we're able to make them. So one's like Unwind. We have a set of them, and they're key for spraying in the field. So you can spray them in the field. You could spray them and if you're taking a bath, you can spray them. You can do whatever you want with them. You can do all kinds of things with them. And they are special. They're subtle. Like if you've been around our work and this work and the laser, when I spray it, I'll spray it in my field, and right away I'm like totally blissed out. And they're designed to help with these different steps I've been referring to. So there's an Unwind, there's a Quantum, there's an Activate, there's a Unity. Unity on the, I spray, I call them Lotus Essentials, not because of the name. I call it that because I spray them at the top at the Lotus. And it simply, to me, it just opens up the Lotus. It opens up the subtle center at the top of the crown. And one of the things that these elements, these Ormus elements, these elements they're in another state of matter. So when things are in this high, the electrons go into a superconductive state. This has been proven in science. And so these elements are in a superconductive state. So spraying them in the field, to me, one of the benefits of these sprays is that they significantly help to strengthen the quantum field. They're kind of tools to help train one's condition. So when you're out, you can spray it around. They're really, really subtle and nice to have. So basically, we're offering this initial special. This is a pre-launch where we're getting product out, these new technologies, and so as we've done previously, usually we offer something like this at a retreat. We haven't done a retreat in a little while, and we are looking at the possibility of doing a retreat not so far off for people that want to come. And I'm working on 2 other new products. So now that we have this Ormus, this high spinning ether spray, we can do different things with it. So, for example, we've infused it into the pads. So anything you put in this, it literally it's profound. Like, I can't tell you how nice it is when you're out and about with 5G and different things going on to have this super strong substance to basically fluff out the field. It's profound, and we're going to be coming out with there's a couple other things we're going to be coming out with not so far down the way, one of which is putting these into a unique substance that you can wear. So we have a couple other things going on that are really exciting that I was hoping to have all together. They're not there yet, but they're getting there. So in any event, so again, everyone take a nice big breath in. Stop right here. Squeeze the root at the base, in, out. Same muscle you use to go to the restroom, in, out. Hold right in the middle. All right, feel some energy start to flow up the spine. Again, these new technologies are designed twofold. One, we have technologies to unwind things and to drop in Stillpoint, open the quantum field. Wi-Fi helps open the quantum field. Oh, by the way, there's 2 new Wi-Fis that I'm working on, also a small one and a big one, a really big one. These are all the new Wi-Fis and the new advanced crystal technology that has the Ormus in it are all designed for antidoting 5G and to help to neutralize some of these the things that are the technologies that are accelerating things to kind of condition it so that it is not deleterious to the human condition. Again, squeeze the root, allow energy to come up. As the energy comes up, see, the key to having more capacity to deal with different things that are going on is reversing these energies, purifying them, transforming them into different states that have more resources, like the heart center, and ultimately up to the top, to the crown, and opening tongue at the roof of the mouth, and not only doing this in retreat, doing this in every moment so that our field can start to process and integrate energies that can offset and neutralize some of the disturbed, kind of the discordant things that seem to be somewhat pervasive right now. So again, the 2 key things that these technologies, the new pads are designed to help reverse and activate the flow of energy along the sacred scalar energy along the spine. And the sprays are really designed to induce the subtle opening of the lotus and the subtle condition to help purify the different centers, and particularly the vasanas and the different things that are going on in the different plexuses. We want to neutralize those things so that and induce the energy upflow along the spine so that we can be more effective at this this moment on planet Earth. That's ultimately the goal, right? The goal is how can we best be here and assist in our work, our mission, in helping to transition this lovely planet and situation to its fullest potential. That's why I'm here, and that's why I make things to help me in that process, and I share them with people so that hopefully it helps. If it helps, if it doesn't help, then it's okay. It's not, don't have to get. If it helps, then good. Hope it helps. So for anybody on this call to break this down, usually I used to have people that covered the specials. I don't really like going over the specials, so I'd rather keep doing processes than discuss pricing and this kind of stuff. So in any event, so to bake it in, we are offering the 2 new pads. The pad system is eventually going to be around. It's going to be around $3,800. Right now, we're doing a special for the 2 pads. They require a lot of. We're not making this in the traditional way. They're very subtle, and we make them in-house, and they're beautifully. It's like a organic material. It's a really beautiful. This is not some mass-produced. This is a very subtle, organic, non-toxic, Ormus-induced scalar yogic technology. So what we're going to do is anyone on this call, there'll be a link or a order form on the newsletter that goes out with this, or you can call in also. And anyone who places an order, we're going to do this is what the deal is. The offer is for $2,900. We're going to do both the pads. We're also going to include a set of the Ormus Quantum Field Lotus Essential sprays. And that comes in a nice little pouch. That's gonna retail for about $650, and eventually we might have more sprays. We might have a whole, but for now, these are the key ones from my perspective for helping to continue. The key thing is to continue the progression in every moment with unwinding things, dropping into Stillpoint, unwinding, dropping into Stillpoint, opening the quantum field, activating energy along the spine, opening up the Lotus, so there's more resources. So we can take the anomalous energies that are going on and bring them to the right place, as opposed to just staying in this open zone and having a whatever with a whole bunch of energy that's not processed and sorted out yet. So in addition, we're going to throw in, here's the kind of kicker to the whole thing. We're going to throw in a Lotus in this deal, which is already, this is how good a deal it is. That's what the price of a Lotus is, $2,900. So for $2,900, you're going to get a Lotus which can power the pads. It's a good way to power the pads. The pads can work with our existing technology, and in particular, it works with the Lotus. So you get a Lotus, you get both pads, the full one that you can put on a massage table or whatever, and then the Lotus Pad. You also get the Stillpoint Yogic Lotus Essentials Quantum Field Sprays, and which ordinarily the value would be like $2,900 for a Lotus. It'll be around $3,800 for that. The pad system eventually when we're in full-on production with it. Right now this is pre-launch, so this is going to be the first batches that people are getting. And then the Ormus. The Ormus is not inexpensive because it's not a traditional spray. We're using very unique, expensive metals, and we're also, the plasma process, it's not an easy process. And so the sprays, I'm telling you, anyone who likes our existing stuff, you're going to love these sprays. You can spray them on pets. You can spray them. They're fantastic. So the sprays normally will be around $650 for this set, and so you add all that up, it's like $8,000, $2,900. In the next day or two, if you get your order in, we'll also do free shipping, and I'm pretty sure we're making a nice pouch that goes with the Lotus as well. Is going to probably be done as well. We're going to have a nice pouch that goes with the Lotus to put the Lotus in also. So that's the offer, and if anyone has interest in it, it is available next day or two. So get your orders in, because we also are a little bit, it's while supplies last, because we only have so much of the Ormus and at this point, and so so if you want this, go for it right away. And if anyone who wants more than one, reach out, and the team can discuss that also. If you want, we can do a little discount if you want more than one of them. So you can check in about that as well. So, and again, while supplies last. Okay, everyone take another nice breath in. Drop in. You can drop in the top or the bottom of the breath. I do often, if you breathe in, stop right at the top. Hold. Feels like holding the breath. Let the breath keep going like it does when you rest, yet you stay here in space between the breath. But let's finish up with a process. Everyone, if you listen to the first, all right, good. So as we're resting here in Stillpoint, this is a really good moment. I often suggest at least once a day, drop in Stillpoint. And really, where we're heading now is, for me, I'm doing this. This is things that are going on all day long. So as you're resting here in Stillpoint, notice till when you just kind of hold here until the field opens. I often say it's like holding a nozzle against a tire, right? You hold it there when you're filling up the tire thing, and you hold it there. If you're one side, other side, if you hold it right there with care, right, the tire starts to fill up. When I hold Stillpoint, I often drop in Stillpoint. I just kind of hold it. Just holding it right here until the field starts to fill in, right? Right there, I can feel my field start to fill in. We have to be super effective at stewarding this subtle energy. So right there, I'm holding. Like right there, I felt a shift. My field, I took a breath, and the field opened. So the field is now opened, right? Now I'm resting in. I'm not even. I feel like the field is holding me. The quantum field is holding me. So now, go down, squeeze the root at the base. So this, again, unwound. We did the first thing. We unwound, dropped in Stillpoint, right? Second thing, we held Stillpoint until the field opened. Now, third thing, squeeze the root at the base. Now we're going to reverse the current. So squeeze the root at the base. Squeeze in. Same muscles you used to go to the restroom. Squeeze in, out, out. Now hold in between the in and the out gently, like a egg. Not too tight or you crush, not too loose or you drop. Right? Hold right there. Relax, loosen it up a little bit. See if you notice some energy start to flow upwards, up the spine. Right? You want to place the tongue at the roof of the mouth. I feel a little saliva. We're getting these pathways open. Yogis spend a lot of practice getting these pathways to open. Just like initially dropping into Stillpoint took some work, right? It took some work to unwind. It took some work to drop in Stillpoint. Well, now we have to really flex and get this flow of this reversal where the energy. I do this stuff a lot. I love to have energy flowing up the spine, and right there I feel a little bliss around the top of the. See the saliva, tongue at the roof of the mouth. See if you notice, as more saliva comes. Yogis, The Secret of the Golden Flower is a whole Taoist book about the substance that goes into the saliva that puts people into bliss. Yogis go into bliss when this substance comes in. This is how we transform all that stuff. We don't just open up and interact with all this other stuff that's opened up that isn't doing any practice or so we take we move the energy, and as energy is coming up, you might find it comes to a certain plexus and it feels a little bit like it's not moving there. Well, that's all right. What did we do a moment ago? Just like we did with the field, go to that area, and if there's an area where the energy and simply kind of hold it there, kind of go there, just like we did with the nozzle, and hold gently. And squeeze the root, allow the energy to come up. The area that you're holding, just kind of squeeze it in a little bit, out a little bit. Hold it right in the middle, and then relax it right into the middle like the egg, not too tight or you crush, not too loose or you drop. And allow the energy to shift and flow to the next place. Might go up to the heart center. Tongue at the roof, might go up a little bit higher. This is how we steward the process of unwinding things, opening into Stillpoint, activating, allowing the energy to come in, activate the scalar energy so it starts to flow, and then opening up into the flowering, the lotus, the nectar, the ambrosia, where it opens. This fourth process is opening it to a vaster region or area of resources. We're not saying, hey, we're going to fix all this. We're saying, hey, let's get to this place where there's more resources available to find solutions, both for whatever's going on and ultimately for the new season. This, to me, is the key work. It's understanding our place in the process to help to welcome the things that are going on here and to invite them and steward them into a new place, a new opportunity, where there are resources that are well versed and suited to help with the opening and the flowering of the new moment, the new season. On that note, I want to send much love and aloha to everyone out there, and to the people out there sharing our products. If there's anyone who has an interest in this offer, send in the order form and or call in. And most importantly, you're all good at this. It's easy. All it takes is like practice. It's like a muscle. It's like anything else. If you don't do it, a lot of people go through life and get knocked around with energy from someone or some pattern they have, and this is about saying, oh, okay, we got knocked around, great, let's get up, let's welcome it, let's allow it to dissolve, unwind, drop it into Stillpoint, allow the sacred scalar to move through it, and let's bring it to a new opportunity where it can ripen into a new, where it can shift and transition, transform. All right, aloha everyone, aloha.